Hey guys, so I'm super excited to make this tutorial. So in this tutorial, you will learn how to set up ChatGPT 4 with Webflow, Wized, and Xano. I hope you guys like it. Hey guys, so first of all, let me just show you what like the end result looks like. But we will be setting up ChatGPT 4 at the end. I have here just an example of a stream with Xano. So it doesn't really matter what I place here. It will just give me the same response. So as you can see, it gives us an array of names. This is an array from a table in Xano. If I click it again here, you can see we will get the same list. By the way, this should be way quicker, but I just have a sleep function that you will see. Let me just, first of all, explain what it's, how is the setup, how it works in Xano, and then I will as well explain what is a stream. And I'm just, first of all, querying all the records here from the table. I'm returning those instead of being a list as a stream. And why do we use a stream? And let me just show you here what a stream is. So I just asked that to ChatGPT. A stream are particularly used for handling data that is too large to fit into memory all at once, or data that is continuous generated, such as live video feeds, real-time sensor data, or large files. So, streams are perfect for this scenario because, ChatGPT sometimes, whenever they give you a large response like this, they don't want to, send all of that data at the same time because that might be too much. That might just take too long. So it's just fantastic for them to send data bits by bits where you can just transform or unify all of that data here in the front end. So that's fantastic. And this is the same that Xano uses, right? You can send data instead of a list, you can send it as a stream. So they send bits by bits of the data. And in that way, it's just way easier to handle large amounts of data, like large tables. Obviously, if you want to do a for each loop. And this is what they suggest, right? And a stream is only useful whenever you use a for each loop. You can only use it there. Like if I stop and debug what this array is right here, like array here, save, if I run it, I will just get this word right here, stream. So now let's continue. Now that you are aware of that, if I stop and debug the first item from this stream, from this for each loop item right there, and I run it, I will get the first object from that array. So that's pretty cool. And what we're literally doing is a couple of things. So first of all, we have a get API endpoint. I will as well share when it can be a get and when it can be a post, whatever you want, really. It will depend on how you will be pulling data from the front end. And as well, we have this is a must. It doesn't matter if it's a fetch API or an event here. So an event stream, because there's two ways to pull data from a streaming API. So you can create a function called in Xano event source, or you can make a fetch API request. So depending on that, if it's going to be an event resource that I suggest for this type of scenarios, it needs to be a GET request, and something else that you cannot do is send headers through the API endpoint. So you need to send a bearer token or anything like that. You won't be able to send that over. So you need to keep that in mind. Probably the page where they have access to must be authenticated. So there's no way for them to jump into this page and pull as well any data. Something as well important is to make sure maybe, and this is a suggestion, you want, whenever you are making these requests, you might want to have the data being sent inside a payload, inside the body of the request or in the URL. I know it's not the greatest way to set it up, but I guess in this type of scenarios, it might make sense. So that's when, the fetch API functionality comes handy because you can send headers, and then you need to, you can send a bearer token, whatever, all of that. And in that way, I think it makes total sense to use a fetch API request. Talking about performance, I think I prefer the event source function that's, that we can use here with JavaScript, because I guess it's just faster to get the data on the front end. I don't know. That's how I felt it, but let me just show you. So first of all, we need to make sure inside the endpoint settings, we need to enable the stream response. You can, if you set it up to be standard, the other element will disappear. So you need to make sure that you have that with the stream response. And now something else that Xano has created is they have two new things. You have the option to make an API streaming request. So this is to make your API request to like ChatGPT 4 whenever you want to get that data as a stream. And this is another flow that is called streaming API response. So this is to send the data bits by bits to the front end or to the other server, right? So these can only be used through a loop because, once you get on a stream, the only way to send bits by bits is you need to do a for each loop and then select this function to the streaming API response and then set up the value that you want to send over. So in this case, we want to send the item. So if I just run this right now, I will get the whole array of objects of this, table. Obviously, it takes some time because I'm sleeping this just to make it look good on the front end. So you get name by name instead of just loading in everything too quickly. This kind of how it works. So once we have that, let me just show you what I have here in ChatGPT and what I will. Okay, so we have all of this by default set up here. And let's first just test the request, right? So I have a code right here that I will be sharing with you guys. And it's to make an source event with JavaScript. So let's just take this code right here. Let's copy this. And now let's just go here into a request and let's just create a new action called submit or send message. This will be an element. So we will be setting it up these two with both form. We will create an event on submit. We will prevent the default from Webflow and then we will run a function. And then we'll paste all of this right here. I want to remove. Let's just comment all of this. We don't need any of this right here, right now. What else? Also, we don't need any of this right here. Okay, so now also we don't want any of this right here. And we just want to console log what data we get. And that's it. So now let's just, inspect the site. Let's go to our console. Let's just clear everything. Just make it slightly bigger. Okay, cool. And let's just run this. So if we just click here, can I click on play? Yeah. As you can see, we start getting the data bits by bit. So pretty much we are just setting up the URL where we just need to make the get request from, make sure this is a get API endpoint. We are creating a new event source with JavaScript. And then each data variable, it's, each piece that we're getting from Xano. So once we know we have that, then we can create all of our logic based on that. So we also, so let's just do it. So how do we set this up? How do we set up the whole front end, right? Because I know you guys want to know as well, how are we, rendering all this data dynamically here? So let me just show you. So first of all, I will be sharing the clonable here in Webflow, so you should be able to get the whole structure. So we have the empty state here. Everything has an attribute. We have the conversation embed, deep block that we just need to make the displays once we, have sent our first message. We also have inside here, we have one single item really that will be rendered, but then we have two elements inside of it, like chat item user, and then we have chat item Wizbot. So depending if the message is from the user or Wiz, sorry, or the ChatGPT, you can say that it will display one of these elements, but we will still be rendering just one. So then we have inside here, the content, the loader, the content of each. So it's pretty straightforward. As well, we have here the content and the dblock right here. So it just we just need to set up the display of the certain elements based on any some logic, and as well render the content based on what we get from ChatGPT or from this input right here. So let's do it. So first of all, let's start from this project from scratch. So now that we know we are getting the data, I will create a couple of variables here. One of them will be called chat array, and then one of those will be called chat array index. So let me just show you. So whenever I send a message, I want to create, first of all, I want to set the value of the array to a variable here. And I want to push an object inside this array. I want to push an object called user, and the content will be the content from the form, from this input right here. So I'm pushing an object directly. And then we are creating at the same time another object called Wizbot content empty and loading status true. So it means like, the backend or Wiz, or the backend is preparing the response. And then from there, we are just getting the last item from this array here. So the reason why we're getting the last item is because we want to populate this content with the data that comes from the backend. We want to populate the content with each name of each person that we have in the list in Xano. So from there, instead of console logging, the data, we are pretty much just pushing. If it's inside the conditionals, like the last object, we are then pushing the data to it. So it's pretty straightforward. And that's it. Like, it's pretty cool. It's like pretty simple. And that's it. Obviously, here, in case we want to close the connection with the event source, because this is like a live connection where we can always get data from the backend, we can as well close the connection right here, event source close. So that's pretty cool. That's something that we should do, really. We don't need to keep the connection until the end. Like, we can just close the connection. Let's just show you how the rest is set up. So first of all, let's set up the display of the empty state. If I click here, let's just place it inside a folder called chat empty state. I already have the folder, so also here, let's just set it up this to inside of the submit content flow. So now let's do set style display return if this chat array length equals 0. Then we will do flex, otherwise we will do none. Cool. And by the way, you will ask me, why is the other dblock not appearing right here? So as you can see, we have another element right here, right? And none of this is appearing. It's because this Wizbot content, I don't want to appear by default, right? I don't even want to see it once. Like, I don't even want the type of flickering, because as you guys know, like, Wiz takes, it's in the header of the site, but it just takes some seconds, like milliseconds to load. So you might sometimes see some flickering on some elements. So you want to, set the display of this element by default to be none. So if I go to the settings of my site, you can see I have this attribute right here that has a display none by default. Just letting you know that. That's why it doesn't appear here. So once we have set up the display of the empty state right here, let's continue. So now that we have that, let's just set up the display of the content, right? So now let's just duplicate this action. Let's just move it to to chat content. And let's just do Wizbot content display. By the way, you need to take care of the namings always. Super important, with the organization here. Wizbot empty state. with bot content displayed. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Stay display. Okay, so with bot content, we will do like the other way around. If length is more than 0, then we want to set it to be flex, right? Okay, cool. So now if we type something, now that we have set up the function, right? Whenever we submit this, are we setting it up? Let's just look into it. This right there. Okay, so it's hiding it. Fantastic. Okay, great. Now let's continue. So now let's just do rendered chat items because we want to render those items. I think it's called item something chat item right there. Render list return. We are just going to return the chat array, and the variable will be chat array index. And then we want to say the display of, display user chat or user item, right? So chat user, this is the one. We are going to set the style display as well. If chat array, and this is something that I'm doing here, forgot to tell you. Whenever we are submitting the content, like the first object has a type of user and the second object has a type of Wizbot. So this is what will give me the conditional, which one should I show? Like if it's a user of or the Wizbot. So let's just display user if chat item. If I return the first element from this, as you can see, is type that user. So I will do that type equals user. Then we will return, I think it's block. Otherwise we'll return none. Okay, great. So obviously we want to change this number with the index. So it's dynamic. Let's continue. So now display user item, now display Wizbot item. It's going to call it like that. And now let's just do chat item Wizbot, set the style equals Wizbot. Then we want to set this to be flex. Now that's flex, not block. So just changing that. Now we also want to display the content, user item content. So here, let's just return, instead of type, let's just say content, because that's what I have typed into the input here. And now let's just do the same and let's change this to be chat item user content. And this is set text. Okay, great. If I refresh this now and I do test, fantastic. So I'm getting that data. And now the same for display Wizbot content. So now this will be Wizbot content, set text, plain text to be the same content. Yeah, it's going to be the same. And now the last thing that we want to do is display user Wizbot loader, because this is whenever we are loading the data from the back. So bot loader, set display, style display is loading. I think it's loading, call loading equals false. Then we want to say none, else we want to say block. So if it's loading, we want to show that. So as you can see right here, if I type text, we are getting the data and it's loading. Fantastic. And now the last thing that we want to do is, let's just enable the data being set right here. I think incoming data. I don't know if something is missing. If I mess something up, let's just content loading through. Loading false. Okay, great. And then we're setting each data, each bit by bit from here. Um, Stream test. Let me just make sure that we're getting this data. Oh, let's just publish this. Just make sure that we're paste this. Just do test. And let's just console log what we're getting. Yeah, let's just console. Oh, maybe it's this right here. We're closing the. Could be that. Yeah, might be that. Test. Yeah, that was definitely it. So obviously something that we want to fix is we don't want to render the content from that we're getting as just a plain text. We want to render probably as an HTML. So let's just change that. Let's just go to Wized content right here. Instead of plain text, let's just do HTML. So we can then use the BR there. Awesome. So we have the flow. So I can type test again and we will be getting the data. So now let's just connect it with ChatGPT. So let's do it. Now we will be using this ChatGPT chat completion. I won't be looking to the API documentation from them, but I will just only do this right here. Stop and debug right here. Let's just do a stream. I will run this and you will see that we will get the same stream that we get whenever we're using, a list from Xano. So now if I just stop and debug what item is, we will just get one item. And I have this, this content by default here just to run it. And as you can see here, we get something similar to a JSON. We just get text here, data, two dots, and then we get a JSON where we have the content right here. So that's something that we want. So first of all, we don't want to send all of these probably to the front end. We pretty much just want the content of each item. So let's do it. So let's just do a conditional here. Let's just do what data are we will be sending, Let's just do a conditional if, first of all, let's just make sure that we let's just get every single type of object that we will get from ChatGPT 4 and then we can continue here. So okay, we hit data, content, nothing, content, chat, GPT. Yeah, as you can see, we get each bit by bit of data. So that's really great. So this is the same structure. So we get everything until we get a data done. Okay. So you know what? Let's just remove first data, two dots. I would prefer to do that and then transform these to an object and from there just get the content. Let's just do it super quickly. So here, let's just hide this clone. Oh, what am I doing here? Let's just delete it for now. Don't want it there. And let's do then remove or update variable. This is something that you might not need to do. This is something that we can do in the front end as well. But I just want to keep it clean. I don't know if this is the best performance. I guess it might make sense just to pull everything to the front and then you might want to fix it there. So you might want to do here remove. You can still use this, I guess. Remove data dot space. If I do that, what do we get here? Let me see if this fails. I think we need to do subtract because yeah, let's just do subtract here. Let's subtract, start from 6. Let's not set a length so we can just get the remaining. Fantastic. So pretty much we get the object. And from there here, instead of, just returning that, we can just JSON decode. And if we run this, we will get the whole object. So this is exactly what we needed. And from there, we can just, get the content. As you can see, we have it right here. So I can just pull this and then just literally get content. So I can do item subpath, but there is a problem. We not always have content. There is not always content, so we need to create a conditional here that it's let's just create a conditional contains done, and probably you might want to add an extra conditional to get whenever the delta doesn't have any content. The delta object doesn't have any content, so make sure that you have a get here also. So now let's just replace our API endpoint with this right here, chat competition. And obviously we need to now send a prompt here as a content parameter. So let's just do send message right here. Let's change our base URL. Fantastic. And now obviously we want to add here the parameter. So let's just do a let here URL. I want to update something here. Let URL equals URL plus. Sorry, I don't need to use let. Let's just URL equals URL plus. Here we'll do content, 2 dots, plus our input right here. Awesome. So now place the update right here. Oh, it's a post request. That's the issue. Make sure it's a get. Just publish this. And now let's refresh this again and let's take a look. Let's also open the console in case we see an error. Okay, let's just do when was ChatGPT found? Oh, yeah, makes sense. So obviously we don't need to stringify that because it's just not, we don't need to parse the data. We just need to get event.data, and that's it. Let's take a look. Hola. Just say hola. Hola test. Oh, fantastic. So now that's it. We don't even need to, parse any JSON as we were just sending content like on a string. So now we can do literally what we just were doing, data. We should be fine now. So, hola. Are we getting something here? But we are not even able to see it. Let's just close this. Okay, fantastic. So, yeah, let's just do test. Or when was ChatGPT founded? Let's just do, so let's just make sure that we don't, and obviously let's just do item doesn't contains stop. Obviously the word doesn't need to be stop, it's like the whole item. So let me just do false as well here so we don't get a null. And I guess we can render this as text directly, not as should it have to be markdown? And we don't need the BR here. Submit here, we don't need the BR tag right here either. Okay, awesome. Hola. Fantastic. So let's say when were you founded? When were you founded? My mistake. Yep, my mistake. It needs to be equal. Okay, awesome. So now, if we send this over, okay. Fantastic. Now we get the data. So awesome, guys. So that's fixed. Obviously, we want to remove the value of the form at the end. So once it has been successful, we want to do something at the end. So let's just do that. So I guess we can do it right away. Like once it has been completed, like we can just do form prompt input, like, or we can even, yeah, we don't need to. And that's it. So when you found it. Okay, fantastic. So that's it. Okay, cool guys. So I guess this is how it works. I hope you guys like this tutorial. It's a long one, but I hope you guys enjoy it.